Howdy kids, Bishop Hogman here. You're having coffee with the Bishop is normally what it is. It's Rockstar with the Bishop. I broke down. I haven't had an energy drink in probably a couple of weeks, and I broke down, and I had to say, hey, I'm a rock star. But, cool. Anyways, I just went and had the most beautiful Christmas gift I could have. It's, I don't know what they call it. It's, you get in it, you lay in it, you're butt naked, and it vibrates and gives off heat and ultraviolet, and it soothes your aching muscles and pain. Oh, pardon me. I come out of there feeling like $1 million. Better than I have in a while. So, we're scheduling another appointment next week. It's $15 for an hour in this machine. And it's like going to the gym and working out without ever having to work out. So, I lost 400 calories in the 45 minutes I laid there and listened to a Christian music station, and I had it cranked up. The speakers are right beside your ears, so you can crank it and it doesn't bother anybody because you're in a separate room. I had her just beaming. I'm sure they could hear me singing out in the other parts. But it's in a beauty salon. It's pretty cool. Alberta is absolutely being good to me. Well, I mean, certain things. But anyways, you know what? We spent the day at Service Canada. They are no longer have me on unemployment because supposedly on sick benefits because I was having spinal shots. It runs out after so many weeks, and then you can't go back on regular. So, you know what? The government of Canada, God bless you. Here, this one's for you. So, that's what I think about the government. You know what? I love this country. I hate the government. I told you that many times. I think they've got ass hats in every level of politics. I mean, the problem is not the people who are there. The problem is the system doesn't work, and we've proved it over and over again for how many years? The States is doing the same thing and running a deficit. You know what? Maybe they got to take lessons from people like Hazel McCallion, mayor of Mississauga for how many years? The only part of Canada that's made money every year. Mississauga has never lost a dime, never run in the negative, and has met their budget every year for the last 40 or 50 years that Hazel McCallion was running it. And when her husband was involved there, and her son David, who runs the paper, a friend of mine. And, you know, I lived in Streetsville in Ontario for many, many years in Mississauga. And I got the privilege of doing Jack's Beanstalk and Abel Rock. We did a few, and I did some stuff with Sean Murphy from Wax Tablet Records, and Graham Hooper, and there's a whole list of people. Murray Goldstein, I think his last name is. So long I can't even remember. I saw that man get out of a straitjacket in something like 18 seconds or 17 seconds. I think he's got it down. And I mean, I did up the straitjacket, so I knew it was on there. He ain't getting out of that because I know I wouldn't be able to. Nobody else I know. I don't know. He must dislocate his shoulders, and you'd have to disconnect your rib cage. Well, you know, I guess some people are just gifted that way. Escape artist. Houdini was the best. So, but Murray was a good guy. I like Murray. Murray, good solid man. I liked him. We did a few things together. We went out and saw Kevin Hicklin's at the Ability Camp Center for Conductive Education for kids with any type of like CP and stuff like that. And they use conductive education to reteach them. So they're not in wheelchairs and they're doing stuff on their own. I mean, they're always going to need assist. But you know what? People like that, that's my kind of hero. Kevin Hicklin at the Abilities Camp, Picton, Ontario. You look him up. That man, it's the Pedo Institute. He uses a program from the Pedo Institute over in the old country somewhere. I can't remember the whole story. You'd have to ask him. I'm sure Sean Murphy could probably make some comments on this video regarding the Abilities Camp. I'm sure Sean is probably still staying in contact with Kevin. Kevin's a great guy, and his daughter and his wife, and I mean, there's some really beautiful people in this world that I've had the blessing that God has put them in my path, that I've had the opportunity to work with and do some things and throw some things together. We've done a couple of shows, worked with Metalworks Studios. That's the boys from Triumph. They used to donate hours when we did Battle of the Bands. They used to donate studio hours for our Battle of the Bands. You know, a few. I'm not going to throw names out there. There's been quite a few famous people that have come through our grips, and we've had the privilege of working with them and have gone on to fame and fortune. And God bless them. You know what? Keep doing what you're doing. You're entertaining the world, and we all need entertainers. I would just wish you'd do a little more for God. You know, God is a big job. You know what? I want to do ministry full time. You know what? The only thing the devil does is he holds me back financially every time. You know, and God bless the people that have helped us. But I mean, I really would love to do. I'd really love to do ministry full time. But I mean, you need a paycheck. I mean, you need to live. I mean, you need to pay your bills. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to reduce them and live in a little bit of humility. But you know what? And to try to be green as possible and leave a small carbon footprint. I mean, when I got this truck, well, it's not horrible on fuel. It's not horrible, but I mean, it's not as good as my Acura that God blessed me with. The Acura left a small carbon footprint. And when I look at stuff, I obviously look at the financial part of the cost of fueling a vehicle like this to do what we need to do. But that's the cost of doing God's work. And you know what? He always just blesses us with just enough, you know, just enough to get by, you know. But I know there's a land of an abundance, you know, that's coming our way for all of us. You know what? And it may not be in this world. You know what? It may be in the afterlife. You know, and when we get to sit and look face to face with our Creator. You know? I mean, as much as I'm a man of God, I mean, I'm a bishop. I was a pastor before that. And I've been doing this for a long time with the likes of people like Kirk Hagar. And I can, like, there's so many names. There's so many names. Some of them names have gone on to be with the Lord. Angelo Cabresi. You know, he's my best. He was my mentor. He was my brother. He was my best friend. You know, me and him. He was on the phone on speakerphone the night before Bev passed, and we delivered her last rites. You know, that was hard, and I mean it was hard for Angelo. You know, after losing Betty. You know, he lost Betty. The year before, about 5 months before we lost Bev. You know, and the ministry hurts because of it. You know. It leaves a lot of pain and a lot of sorrow. You know, as much as I've got joy in the life that's coming my way and the people that I'm meeting and the things that are going on and the way God's moving in people's lives, I've got a lot of joy. But there's a lot of sorrow. But you know what? I take that sorrow and that pain and I turn it around and I use it for God's work. Because, you know, I rant about cancer quite often. I mean, I spent most of my adult life dealing with people with cancer. Matthew's great-grandfather on his mother's side, he was the president of the Canadian Cancer Society. So I got involved with people with cancer and raising funds and money for cancer and cancer research. I got involved in that when I was in my early 20s. You know, and I've been carrying on and trying to raise money for all kinds of, you know. And then people have said to me, why don't you go with one of these GoPro? And you know what? I've always been one to be humble, to not ask for money, you know. Because, I mean, I see all these secular churches and they're passing the tray around. And, I mean, I was talking to Dawson from the Disciples. And, you know, I was telling him how hard it is for me to go into some of these churches. Because I remember I'm made in the likes of my Father, in the likes of Jesus. I'm created in His image, and if He went into these churches, He'd have a righteous anger. He'd flip tables and say, "Stop making a mockery of my Father's temple." And you know what? I've gone into very, very quite a few. And I mean, I know that you've got to raise money, but you know what? If you have members and they're members and they want to be there and they want to see the ministry grow, I mean, a full-time ministry involves pastors and youth pastors, and yes, we can do it, but when we do it full time, it's hard. It's very hard because we can't ask the government to support us while we're doing God's work. We're supposed to ask our loved ones and our people that believe in us, that want this ministry to flourish and be part of it, to contribute, you know? And if it's not 10% of your finances, it's 10% of your time. And that could be paying it forward to somebody, You owe 10% either way. Like that tithing, and it's not about the money that you give and what people do with it. It's misrepresentation in churches and stuff like that. The Bible calls us 10% of our first fruits. And that would be financial. That would be your time. I mean, he wants relationship with you. I have conversations with him all the time. I'm in communion with my Lord and Savior all the time. He's become one of my best friends, as well as my loving, caring Father that loved me so much that he sent his only begotten Son to come to the earth and die for me. For the shit that I did. Man, I feel guilty about a lot of that. I did a lot of stuff over the years. I wasn't always a good guy. There was times when I was a bad guy and I did stuff that, it wasn't so nice, But you turn your life around, My problem is my righteous, I've got a little bit of a righteous anger, but it's on people that have taken advantage of me. I've helped a lot of people over the years, and I've even let them into my home. I let one live with me for almost 10 years. I'm not mentioning names because I'm not going to point fingers. I forgive them for 10 years, and when the farm was supposed to be packed up and it was supposed to come in a container, all our chainsaws, our generators, we had 3 generators, 2 brand new ones. Those were over $1,000. One was donated to our ministry by Jinx. That one was like $500, and I mean, it was in the box when we got it, and we fired it up to make sure it was working and had it as a backup, but we never used it, and he sold it. He also sold, a few years back, Bev and my mom got together behind my back and went out and bought me a 20 horsepower, almost $3,000 lawn tractor for at the farm. And he sold my new lawn tractor to somebody for $200 and kept the money. Also, the 3 vehicles that I signed the ownerships, that there was a Jimmy, there was a Lincoln, and there was my F-150 truck at the farm. All my vehicles subsequently got sold, and I received no money. And the person, all he did was look after my dogs, and he lived at the farm, and he didn't pay nothing. He didn't pay nothing at the farm. He was living there free. No rent, no heat, no hydro, nothing. Living there free. This is the first time I've videotaped it and put it out there for you guys, so you guys really know what happened. Like, I lost my wife. I came across the country, and when my container showed up and I went in there, and it was about 20 boxes, and it was all the garbage. All the good stuff was sold off and was kept. And I got old pots and pans that were in the barn. I got, like I had 3 table saws. I got 1, and it was the piece of crap one. I had a 12-inch, no, 13-inch, I think it was, scrolling tilt miter saw that I just bought and put new blades on it. That never came. The compressor that Matt had given me was a nice one. It would run 3 nail guns up on a roof. It would run 2 air tools continuously in the shop. I can go on with the list. I had a collection of Queen stuff that my grandmother started collecting, and over the years I've gone to auctions, and I had the largest collection of Queen memorabilia, books, cups, saucers, I've been saving them. They were my grandmother's, and I've been adding to them. When I go to auctions, I see Queen stuff. I always bought it, and I got it for reasonable, and I've always put it into the collection. None of that came. Not one little piece. And then I had, what I was doing is I was buying brass. I can't afford gold and silver, and I know precious metals are important for us to hold on to. And all I could afford was brass. So at the auctions, I'd buy boxes and boxes, and I'd have brass and brass and brass. And I had, probably, 2,000 pounds worth of brass, all in ducks and all ornaments, and none of it came. Bev's bedroom suite. My bedroom suite, king size bedroom suite that we had, and it was $16,000 for the bedroom suite, and I don't even know where it is. It never showed up. None of the beds, none of the furniture, nothing. We had a home theater. I had Serwin Vega speakers. I had 18s. I had 15s. I had a whole sound room and a spa room with a massage table, and sorry, it kind of hits home when I talk about the stuff that I lost. But it's just material. But it was all the stuff that me and Bev had collected, and it was stuff that my grandmother and grandfather that are gone. It was all my dad's stuff, all my dad's stuff. We had our clubhouse there. He didn't even take I didn't even get the front board off the front of the bar that we've all been carving in for years. And he knew how important that was. And I had memorabilia all over the walls. Stuff that I picked up over the years, all the metal signs and a scythe and, all this stuff that I picked up at the auctions to make our clubhouse a really nice place. The barn boards were up, all the they got auctioned, all of it. And he had a year living there free to get my stuff into a container. That was the deal. That I would come out here, get us situated out here, then everything would be packed in a container, and he would be coming with the dogs. He was coming with me to come out here, start a new life, because his son needed to go to and the best doctor for FASD is in Calgary, in Alberta here. That's what we wanted. That was the plan. Hey, God will bring you to it. God will bring you through it. Anyways, that's my rant for the day. I love each and every one of you. Thanks for all the concerns. Those that have followed all through the time that we did videos with Bev, and when Bev was ill, and through our... We kept everybody posted. Queen Bee was loved by everybody in this ministry. So yes, we did post it on the ministry because people wanted to know. And I wanted it to be personal, I want it to be me saying to you so it feels personal. Anyways, much love and respect. And don't forget, you just had Rockstar with the Bishop.